This problem is going to be quite a bit different than the other things we've done. I mean, we're really going to have to think our way through coming up with an equation here. This problem says a car rental agency advertised renting a Buick Century for $24.95 per day and 29 cents per mile. If you rent this car for 2 days, how many whole miles can you drive on a $100 budget? Okay, so thinking about this, it's going to cost us $24.95 a day just to rent the car, above anything else. And if we're going to rent that for 2 days, then doesn't that mean that we're going to have, first of all, our 2 times $24.95? Absolutely. Kind of did this a little backwards. Now, it's also going to cost us 29 cents a mile. We don't know how many miles we're going to be driving, so let's let that be our unknown, or our x. And if it's 29 cents per mile, we're going to have to add to this original cost 29 cents times x. So for every mile, 29 cents. Now, if we can only spend $100 on this, that means that this total amount of money, the miles plus the straight car rental, are going to have to equal 100. Now we have an equation that we can solve. So let's do 2 times 24.95, which would be $49.90, plus 29 cents a mile, or 0.29x, equals 100. Now to get x alone, let's subtract 49.90 from both sides, which leaves us with 0.29x equals $50.10, or 50.1. We still have to get x alone, so let's divide both sides by 0.29. And 50.10, $50.10 divided by 29 cents is going to be 172.76. Now be careful. You can't just say that you're done at this point, because you always need to go back and reread the problem and double check that you're answering what they want you to answer. This says how many whole miles can you drive on a $100 budget? Well, if you look at whole miles, if you were to round this up to 173, now you've went over budget by just a little bit. So actually our whole miles that we can drive is only 172. You have to think about these whenever you're answering application problems. The next one says the sum of the measures of the angles of a parallelogram is 360 degrees. In the parallelogram, angles A and D have the same measure as well as angles C and B. If the measure of angle C is twice the measure of angle A, find the measure of each angle. The first thing I would do here is draw out a parallelogram, just so you can get a visual idea of what they're saying. And then start labeling those angles. They said that A and D have the same measure. Well, opposite angles in a parallelogram have the exact same measure. So that means we have to label A and D diagonally across from each other. They also said that C and B have the exact same measure. So we're also going to have to do the same thing here. C and B are going to have the same measure. Now, they also said in the next sentence, if the measure of angle C is twice the measure of angle A. Well, if we knew what A was, we would just double it to find C. So let's let angle A be x, or our unknown. That means then the angle C would be 2x. Because of this being parallelogram and our angles, some of the angles being equal, D has to be the same as A, and B has to be the same as C. Now, it said the sum of the measures. So we're going to be adding up all of these angle measures, and that's supposed to equal 360 degrees. So now we have 6 x's over here on the left-hand side. So we have 6x equals 360. Dividing both sides by 6, we have x equals 60. Now this is what angle A is. Because D is the same, it will also be 60. C is twice that amount, so 120, and B is the same, 120.